to explain to you how this city was called Tel Aviv. Well, they began constructing some Jewish neighborhoods outside the walls of Jaffa. That was an Arab town at that time. And Jews began building outside. And what happened is that one of the Jews said, I would like that we build, his name was Akiva Arievais, he said, I would like to build a new neighborhood that will be, in the future, it will be a city that will be like New York to the United States. And he said, I want to build wide roads, not very narrow alleys, as in the city of Jaffa, and also running water, probably electricity very soon, and so on. And they started building that. Herzl, who was the one who had the vision of the Jewish state, he died at a very young age. He died at the age of 44. And he died of a heart problem in Vienna, in Austria. And what happened afterwards is that when they wanted to call that neighborhood, to give it a name, they said, we would love to respect Herzl. Herzl was a Jew, he was a German Jew, and he was also a journalist called Alt New Land, which means in German, Old New Land. And then they said, we need to respect Herzl and to commemorate him in the name of the city that we're going to choose. They began looking in the Bible. They reached the book of Ezekiel, chapter 3, verse 15, Tel Aviv, one of the places in the exile near the river Kebar, which is the river in Babylonia. Just name of a place. And then they said, bingo. So, thank you. So they didn't sneeze, they just said bingo. And so, bingo, we found the name, Tel Aviv. So what is the relation between Tel Aviv and Herzl? Herzl, he had the book, Alt New Land, which means Old New Land. Tel Aviv, what does it mean? It comes from two words, Tel and Aviv. Tel, what is a Tel?
Inform.
Sorry?
Inform, tell.
What is the meaning of Tel?
Well,
Tel is an artificial mound.
okay.
Artificial mound. For example, we have Tel Megiddo, which is the site of the Battle of Armageddon. We have so many biblical tells where you can imagine people living in one place and then another generation or another civilization living on the remains of the town that used to be, and then another town was constructed on top. So you're going to be having different strata, different levels, referred to as a tel. So tel is something old. Aviv now in Hebrew means spring. Spring is not the spring of water, spring is the season, primavera. So this is the word that we have of a spring, which means blooming of flowers and new life and so on. So Tel is old, Aviv is new. The name of the book was Alt New Land. So they said, all right, that's the best name to call the new city that we constructed, and they called it Tel Aviv. So the name comes from the Bible. It's not the same Tel Aviv of the Bible, definitely, but from here we have the name. That's how we connect things together. Joseph, did you get the answer well now?
Yes.
All right. So we just need patience.
Yes.
So right now, where are we heading to? In Mount Zion, I would like that we visit the room of the Last Supper, and we're gonna have a quick visit to the tomb, King David's tomb. So it's an empty tomb, not because David was resurrected, because it's not the tomb of David. Right? It's an empty tomb. I'll tell you from now. It's an empty tomb, but it's a tradition that was celebrated starting from the 12th century, that this is the tomb of David. And that were the Crusaders who did that. Again, the Crusaders and the Ottomans were so awful in identifying sites and places. Is definitely called Mount Zion. That's the only name that we have for the place. And you're going to be seeing a gate, and that gate is known as Zion Gate. And in Arabic it's called Bab al-Nabi Dawood. So Dawood is David, Bab is a gate, Nabi is a prophet. So the gate of Prophet David This is the Arabic name. Muslims consider David not only as a king, but also as a prophet. And he's mentioned so many times in the Quran, and even the story of David and Goliath is also mentioned in the Quran. So what we have here in the place that we are going to visit, we're talking about the Mount Zion. The name Zion is a wrong name, and the name, the Gate of David, is also a wrong name. They are both based on wrong assumptions about Zion and about David. Now the question is, where was the first time we saw the word Zion ever mentioned in any historical source? If you search the Bible, you're going to see that in the first book of Samuel, chapter 2, verse 7, conquered the fortress of Zion, which is the city of David. That's exactly the first time we ever had the word Zion mentioned in any historical source. So Zion was a fortress, it was a Canaanite fortress, a Jebusite fortress that was conquered by King David when he entered Jerusalem. And then if you look in the Bible, and here we're talking about the book of Kings, chapter 2, verse 10. It says, look here to the right at the pillbox. It's another pillbox from the British Mandate period. Here it is. Here it is to the right. You can see the British police even, drawn that. Yes. And it was considered by some the Christmas gift, because Jerusalem was, let's say, in the hands of Christians for the first time since the Crusader period. And let me try to avoid showing any religious victory here, but some of the newspapers in the United Kingdom, they did a great job in referring to this as a new crusade. So in a moment we are going to pass by what is known as where we had the train leading from Jerusalem to Jaffa. We are talking about the train system in Israel started in the year 1892 during the Ottoman period. And there was a train here. You can see even the rails of the train here to the right. Can you see them? So these are the rails of the train from the year 1892. And there was a train going here every day from Jerusalem to Jaffa. I didn't get in that train, but they used to say that if you would go walking to Jaffa, you would reach faster.
Very slow.
So, how is it going so far?
Good.
Hungry.
Hungry? I'm gonna make it a short visit. Again, we know that now. Mount Zion, we know why we have the name. The name comes from the Bible, definitely. Fortress conquered by King David. It's not in the same place that we are going to be. The Byzantines are the ones who called it Zion for the first time due to Hagia Zion, which is a church that was built over there. And you can imagine a church built there in the Byzantine period. It was a huge church. It even appeared in one of the maps. If you remember, I showed you the Madaba map yesterday when we went to the Ike Homo. I told you a map that was found in Jordan on the ground floor. It showed the Cardo, Damascus Gate. Yes? You remember this? Your wife will be working, like they work in everything. Banks, supermarkets, and everything. All the different fields. That's mainly what they do. Now, recently, the state of Israel is trying to implementing a little bit the military service on the religious Jews as well. Now, what we do have, of course, there are some objections and some demonstrations sometimes. Arabs also, for them, it's not a must that they serve in the army. Most of the Arabs, like all of the Arabs of Jerusalem, let's say, they don't serve in the army. Like I don't know anyone serving in the army in Jerusalem. But we have some other places inside Israel where we do have some Arabs, some hundreds even of Arabs serving in the army, but not more than that. We're talking about some Bedouins, Druze, and so on, some minorities. They are Arabs and they serve in the army. For Jerusalem, things are way much more sensitive. if an Arab from Jerusalem would serve in the army, you know what will happen to him? Just move to this side. What might happen to him? He will be walking in his neighborhood, and from the balconies on top, everybody will be spitting on him.
Okay.
What? You are serving in the army that's conquering us? That's the way they would regard it. So, because again, the Arabs here, they have the mentality that they are under occupation. That's according even to the international law. And they would say, like, how come do you hold the arms that are used against us even? So that's the way they would even analyze it. Now looking here, you can see this door, this gate. This is Zion Gate, as I told you. It has two names, Zion Gate and the Gate of Prophet David. I told you, both names are not based on right assumptions. They are based on wrong assumptions. Zion Gate, this is Mount Zion. Who said this is Mount Zion? The Byzantines, who built the Hagia Sion, thinking that this is the same place of the city of David, which is down there. Now, they weren't really the ones to blame. They built a nice church. It was known as the mother of all churches, even in the Holy Land, even bigger than the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, what we had here. But what happened is the following. Only in the year 1911, we managed to understand where the city of David mentioned in the Bible is located. Again, I'm telling you, the second book of Samuel, chapter 5, verse 7. Nevertheless, David conquered the fortress of Zion, which is the city of David. And then, first book of Kings, chapter 2, verse 10. David died and he was buried in the city of David. Where is it? Only in the year 1911, we understood that it's down there, just opposite the Dung Gate, where we left the Western Wall. So, again, Tomb of David is inside there. The gate of Prophet David, because Muslims even, they used to think, some of them still think, that inside, like from this gate, you can go to the Tomb of David. That we're going to see in a moment. But that's, generally speaking, why we have the names. Here you can see the wall, how it looks like. There was a major fighting that took place here. And we're talking about mainly the fighting between the Israeli army and the Jordanian army in Israel. So what happened is that Israel declared independence 15th of May 1948. 3 days later, the Israelis tried to get into those cities to save the Jewish quarters. And one more thing, definitely, to try to, let's say, get into the Western Wall and so on. But they couldn't. Together with two other gates, and when they drew the ceasefire line, the green line, it was passing exactly through here. So now you are in between two states, two enemy states. That was exactly the situation. And again, according to the international law, when I talk about this here, they start thinking, like some people, they don't like this explanation. According to the international law, this is Israel, and inside the future state of Palestine. That's exactly what we call the two-state solution according to the international law, which is something, it seemed that it would never happen. Why? Because Israel, just in the year 1968, 1 year after the 6 Days War, they united East and West Jerusalem as the united capital of Israel. That's exactly what they did. And what do you think that Israel would give the Western Wall to the Palestinians to be part of the state of Palestine? No way, right? But yes, according to international law, it's part of the territory that was taken in 1967. That's exactly what happens. And what the funny thing about it is that when the Palestinian president, he says, when we have our future state, I would give the Jews the freedom to pray in the Western Wall as part of the state of Palestine. That's a dream. It will never get true. Like the facts on the ground today are completely different. Even regarding the wall that was built, it's not on the green line. It was further inside Palestinian territory and so on. So it's impossible to impose the two-state solution in the way that people used to believe in the year 1967. No way. The demographic situation today changed a lot. And that's exactly what we do have here. This gate was completely blocked, dividing between Jordan and Israel. And those who would be wandering around here were only the insane people. Like you are like in no man's land. Barbed wires everywhere. And if you move, if they see a pigeon, they would shoot at it. That was the situation. All right? We're going to be walking that way, please. So here you can see the remainder of the bullets. They are all from the year 1948, not 1967. Definitely, 1948, Habibi. And
Malambot. Matigas na yun.
Benedict, 4 for $10. The Benedictine Rosary is 4 for 10.
All right? So that's mainly the plate that we are talking about. Now, we're going to continue this way.
Saint Benedict, 4 for $10. The Benedictine Rosary is 4 for 10.
The room of the Last Supper. And now I'm sure that you are all excited, and since you are excited, I want to check. Since we are going to the room of the Last Supper now, who would like to sit on the same chair where Jesus was seated in the room?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Step, mind the step. Mind the step.
So, in Mission Abbey, it's a church that is built by or run by the Benedictine order, and they are the ones who have the church of the multiplication of the fish and the loaves that we are going to visit. So, in a moment, we are going to get inside. You can see a relatively big room, and I feel really frustrated when some guides do it the other way around, because this is the entrance and that's the exit. Please enter. Thank you. Mind your steps.
Last Supper, the site of the Last Supper.
Like you will be the ones who will be sitting on thrones and judging the 12 tribes of Israel. It took place here. It's here where he told Peter, you have Peter going to go? No. It's way here where he had Peter, tonight you gonna deny me 3 times when the rooster will crow. He said, me? Never. I'm ready to go with you to the death, to the prison. And well, that's exactly what happened a few moments afterwards. Now, this is also the place where Judas Iscariot, he betrayed Jesus. He just left the place, and he was planning for the betrayal of Jesus. And that's where Jesus said, someone here is going to betray me. Like Jesus knew everything from the very beginning. And how do we know that? Because he was talking about all of this. And how many miracles did Jesus do? With perfume, some really expensive things. Not only when he was
Site of the Penticost.
expensive stuff, but that
So that's why Christianity begins here.
she was anointed with very precious objects. Definitely, probably was one of them. And then you have the grapes that represent the blood of Jesus. That represents the body of Jesus. So that's a Christian symbol that was added here about 10, 15 years ago. They got permission and they just added this. And then we have something which I when they turned the site into a museum. Now the Muslims, they were looking for some kind of a pillar, as you can see. They saw that's a good size, it fits in order to hold that dome, and let's put it. Now the Muslims, what they did, everything here was completely plastered. Like these animals didn't exist in the mosque, because for Muslims it's not allowed to have human or animal depictions in their mosques. for the Jews neither. All right. So what happened is that they just plastered everything. They put that nice-sized stone here or pillar in order to hold the dome, and then the state of Israel, when they came here in 1948, they were cleaning everything. They just were cleaning here. They said, what do we have here? These are pelicans. These are pelicans. You can see from here and also from this side, you have the father pelican in the middle, and the children who are in danger are eating from the heart of the father pelican. So this is a crusader column that was used by the Muslims later on just to support the dome. And what does this column have? It has the depiction of Jesus. When we are in danger, when we feel insecure, when we feel that we are empty inside, we're gonna be praying for Jesus. That's exactly what we have. We're gonna be eating the body of Jesus. What we just did 2 hours ago, an hour and a half ago. Can you imagine the coincidence? Like Muslims choosing this column that had the depiction of the Last Supper, where the sacrament of the communion, the Mass started, and they just placed it in this same place, and it was exposed about 400 years after they placed it. And where? In the place where the first Holy Mass started.
Wow. We're entering the tomb of David.